everyone, and welcome to The Hash, your daily beat on crypto and culture. My name is Naomi Brockwell, and I'm delighted to be joined by our other wonderful co-hosts. We have Ben Powers, Jen Sanasie, Will Foxley, and Zack Seward. Welcome to the show. And we're going to kick off the day by talking about a new acquisition by PayPal. So, Zack, what have we got there?
Yes, so three sources with knowledge of the deal tell CoinDesk that PayPal is in the process of buying Curve, which is a crypto custody tech provider. This would be a major deal with the prices that we're hearing here at CoinDesk, and it really speaks to PayPal's continued investment in its crypto service. So, PayPal, again, rumored to be on the acquisition trail for a number of months now, and this appears to be their first acquisition in the space. I'm going to kick this to Will. What do we make of the PayPal development? Is PayPal becoming a more legitimate force in the cryptocurrency market?
I think they have to be, and they need infrastructure to be able to do it. If you look at Square's revenue from Cash App and people just buying Bitcoin on Cash App, I think Venmo, which is like the platform that PayPal uses for like digital wallets, can necessarily get in on the action, get a lot of money for PayPal, but they need the tech to be able to do it, and they're a little bit behind the gambit. Square has like a lot of developers that they're working with. They have Square Crypto. I think they launched in like 2018. PayPal doesn't have that, so they have to go out and buy these people. They tried to buy, or they made an offer towards BitGo, I think in the winter months in December. You know that more than I do, Zack, but they have to go get these parts to make the infrastructure work. And it seems like Curve is a great acquisition if they landed that deal, just to kind of get the ball rolling for their crypto markets.
Yeah, if confirmed, it would be a big deal. One of the bigger acquisitions in the space, to be sure. Naomi, I mean, how do we think of PayPal? This is a major fintech firm that has come in with full force to the crypto markets in the last year. It seems like ages ago, but it was only confirmed in October that they were rolling out this service to U.S. users. What are we looking at when we see a firm like this seemingly embrace a technology such as it is?
Yeah, I think that when that news came out, I mean, I was super excited. I think this is huge news for crypto, but a lot of the community poo-pooed the idea. They said, no, this isn't real crypto. You can't send it to any other addresses. You can't take it off PayPal. They're pretending to be part of the crypto space, but you can't do anything with this Bitcoin that you buy. And so a lot of people just kind of dismissed it. I think that what this news shows is that they are becoming real players in the space. They're following through with this aim to become a main provider for crypto and main place where people can go and purchase it and sell it. So I think that, Square does have this first mover advantage in the space in terms of being like a mainstream financial player that entered into the crypto space and allowed people to buy and sell crypto. So PayPal is going to have to make up some space, but PayPal is huge. They have so many resources, and I think this latest acquisition is really going to help steamroll them ahead.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Curve, the custody provider in this instance, an Israeli newspaper published today that it was being sold for somewhere like 200 million to 300 million. One of the three sources that we spoke with said as much as 500 million was being discussed. So this would be a major acquisition for a startup that has raised something like 30 million to date. Let's go to Ben on that one. When we talk about crypto M&A, are we likely to see more of these crypto native firms get absorbed into the big time players in this present moment about institutions and Wall Street embrace?
Yeah, I mean, that price number that you just named based on the funding that was there previously, 30 up to acquisition of 500 million potentially. I think that shows that there's an appetite out there for this. And I think that, these sort of crypto native companies are going to be the ones where if you're a little late to the game, like maybe PayPal was in regards to Square, like we've been talking about, you just got to get what's out there and people that are already working in this space and things that you're not going to be able to build from the ground up and hire, some teams away or something. You might just have to acquire it wholesale. So that might be one reason that the price tag for this is bumping up to where it is. But I do think, I think it is really interesting and shows a little bit more dedication to the crypto space than PayPal had initially shown. I'm curious for a general audience. When we talked about Naomi, going back to what you were saying, we talked about PayPal, kind of dabbling in crypto, but you couldn't withdraw it. You couldn't leave that walled garden ostensibly. How does this help with that or not? What are the signs there?
Yeah, I mean, I might throw this to Jen, and I would even add on to that question. Is PayPal going to make a significant difference in mainstream people getting involved with crypto once they, flesh out their resources there?
I think it could. I think people trust PayPal. I think PayPal has a pretty easy user interface and platform. It's really easy to navigate, receive funds, send funds. And so I think it's the natural next step for people who are beginning in crypto. I think it feels safer than, some of the other platforms we've been talking about, like Binance, can be kind of overwhelming if you just end up on the Binance homepage and you don't know what to do. So I think it could make a difference. I think it will take some time to get people on there, though.
Yeah, I think absolutely with Binance, because when you have, it was kind of a shock even years ago. When you're like, how do I get involved with crypto? What? I have to wire money to an exchange, and then I have to figure out what this buy and sell order is. Wait, what's a margin call?
On Binance, I was like, what is happening? So
yeah, no, it's like a super steep way to get people involved in crypto. So PayPal, I mean, you send people money, you receive money, you send it to your bank account. It's all integrated. It's super easy. So I definitely agree with you that this is going to be, it's going to take away a lot of that friction that we've seen in the crypto community that we love, but that mainstream people probably are trying to avoid.
Just to jump in there really quick, one kind of funny thing we're seeing right now is that Curve Finance's Curve token, which is totally unrelated to this, is booming right now. I think it's up 20% on the day, which is another case of investor. The name is similar to Coin.
Yeah,
exactly.
To be clear,
and hey, that's something.
Yeah, Curve Finance, DeFi, automated market maker. Curve, no E,
different.
No E on that one. Crypto custody tech provider. If anyone is out there slanging CRV tokens, please stop. Please stop.
But this is something that cuts across all institutions, right? This is non-traditional finance and traditional finance. You see this kind of crap happen. With just honest mistakes there.
That's a good point. Harkening back to our recent adventure in meme stocks. So thanks, Ben. Let's change gears and hit the regulatory front. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so Gary Gensler, President Joe Biden's nominee for SEC and former head of the CFTC, is currently in the midst of his Senate confirmation hearing. Our managing editor for policy and regulation, Nick Day, is covering that on Twitter as we speak. And one little nugget that's come out of that hearing thus far is, Gensler said that he thinks that, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are really kind of a catalyst for innovation in finance. But, that optimism was kind of shaded in the way a lot of regulators see it, where they want to protect both retail and institutional investors from some of that volatility. Now, that dovetails into a bit of news from yesterday, which was, let's say, less optimistic, in which the New York Attorney General Letitia James, fresh off a settlement with Tether, sent out a note basically saying that investing in crypto was not prudent due to price volatility, amongst a number of other things. So what do we think about that? To me, I was a little bit struck that the New York AG was weighing in on investing in this regard. But, Jen, I want to toss that to you. What was your first thoughts upon hearing about this?
Well, when I read the story, I saw that the NYAG said that this was to encourage people to follow the rules. And my initial reaction was, well, what are the rules? They're so unclear. And if we're encouraging people to follow the rules, I think we need to know what the rules are. So I look forward to maybe getting some more clarity on what the regulation is. But again, I always say this on the show, at least it started this conversation. So we can maybe start chatting about it here, and hopefully we'll see some things change in the future.
You're always the optimist, Jen.
I know.
I like it. It's well, we have no clarity. It's a big muddy mess, and no one has any idea what to do, but we can only go up from here. I love it. It's reminiscent of everything we've heard officials say about this in the past. It's reminiscent of what Mnuchin was saying 4 years ago, where he's saying, yes, love innovation, definitely want all of this, financial, innovative stuff and booming. And then he's like, also, we're going to clamp down on everything and try and control everything. And they love to say these things that they never have to back up. They're never held accountable for these. No one's going to say, but you said you want things to be innovative. No one's going to come back at them. So they can say whatever they want, and they do say whatever they want. So they always like to couch it in this nice little, hamburger of like, absolutely, we want to support you. We're very, open-minded. We are very willing to work with you. At the end of the day, they're adding more and more regulatory burdens to everyone involved with crypto. It's getting more and more confusing. Different departments in government are saying different things about how crypto should be treated, and it's considered like different things by these different departments. So you're absolutely right, Jen, that this is not an area where we have clarity, and they need to step up their game. But all it seems like at the moment is they're just retroactively going after people and saying, well, you broke the rules that we never clearly laid out. And it's a really unfair, rigged system at the moment, in my opinion.
Yeah, just to jump in there, I saw a great tweet from Dan McCurdle, who's a Masari co-founder, been in the space, been like a Bitcoin guy since like 2011 or something like that. But he noted that regulatory FUD is a chief reason that there is a danger to investing in cryptocurrency, because you don't know when they're going to strike and like attack you for being involved in the space. It's like probably the top 3 reasons for kind of being dangerous to invest in cryptocurrencies is regulators themselves.
Yeah, I know. I think it's so interesting. It's like you saw this happen. Was it last summer, I think? Or maybe it was 2019. I don't know. I wrote about the court case, but the IRS sent out all those educational letters basically saying that you might not have paid your taxes on crypto, but even if you did, we're still going to send you this letter that says you might not have. And, it spreads a lot of doubt about what the actual situation is and how people can, predict signs and behave accordingly with the space going forward. And I thought, it was odd to me about the New York AG coming out about this is like, well, tell us something we don't know, right? Like price volatility is nothing new in this space. And there's a whole lot of other underlying mechanisms that I think people are well aware of, or maybe I've just, been in the cryptocurrency world a little too long to think that's the norm. But, Zack, you want to jump in here, right?
I wanted to zoom out a little bit to New York State politics. Way back in the day, I used to report in upstate New York for public radio, and we did a lot of Albany coverage. And the New York AG's office... Thank you. The New York AG's office is famously a launch pad for the New York governorship. You've seen that with Andrew Cuomo. You've seen it in the past as well. So I think the interesting thing here that we're seeing from Letitia James, again, in the wake of this Tether settlement, is seeing some political capital and talking tough on cryptocurrency. So I think we're going to have potentially someone who will run for New York governor, who is staking out a claim as being tough on this sector, and that may be a valuable political calculation for her going forward. We're seeing the alternate tack being taken by the mayor of Miami and Andrew Yang and other people who are trying to ride the wave in a bit more of a pro crypto stance. So I think that there is certainly sort of a political calculation here, and she may be on the right side of that calculation. It may be easier to win points being tough on crypto bros than trying to endorse Bitcoin as a future monetary system. So anyway, zooming out to sort of bigger political context, I think that's a bit interesting.
Yeah, Zack, I'm going to give it back to you in 1 second to transition us. But I think, if that is the case and we see Yang leading the polls for the New York City mayor, that'll continue a long line of conflict between the governorship and the New York City mayor that we've seen play out year over year over year. So that is an interesting thing to think about. But tell us what we got coming up.
I shall. We're going to talk about Cardano and the ADA token's staggering rise in recent weeks and months. Will is going to break it all down for us. Stick with us. It's The Hash. We have a break.
And welcome back to The Hash. So we're going to jump right into Cardano, which was the top performing token last month for the CoinDesk 20, which is CoinDesk's own way of kind of measuring which tokens are hot and which ones are not. Cardano really set the race, was pretty far ahead of everyone else. I think it gained 277% on the month, with Cosmos Atom token coming in next at 122% rise. Bitcoin and Ether, for comparison, gained like 30% and 8% respectively over those over the 28 days in February. So the question is, why Cardano? Why is Cardano rising right now? Why is this ADA token that nobody knows about the third largest by market cap now? And my answer is it's got a small price, and people see it in the top 5, and so they buy it. Cardano famously is kind of a slow mover in the space. They've decided to become the ultimate professor coin, and they just launch and release lots of papers, peer-reviewed papers, and more papers, enough papers to put you to sleep. And they just keep rolling those out, and then the price seemingly just keeps going up because people see a small unit and they're like, hey, I can buy like 10,000 ADA tokens, and I can't buy any Bitcoin because I don't have enough money. And there you go. You see 277% rise in the price of ADA in 1 month. So that is my take on it, but I want to toss this over to Zack.
All right, let's go at it. So let's talk tech. I mean, they just had a hard fork yesterday. They just enabled the ability to like have sort of a version of the ERC20 token standard. Why isn't this the next Ethereum, Will? Come on, man. Give me the real talk. What's up with Cardano? What's the vision?
I'm so impressed they launched this. Yeah, I'm really impressed they launched this 5 years after Ethereum did it. I mean, I don't understand it. Imagine Google coming out with their own iPhone 5 years after Apple did. Like, it's not notable at all. It's just like sad.
What's the Pixel?
I don't understand. Yeah, but they came out at the same time. But imagine Google's.
Well, it depends. I mean, is Google's iPhone going to be charging? Is Google's iPhone charging like $40 fees, Will?
Yeah, so that is a great point you're bringing up, Naomi, that Ethereum right now has a really bad problem with fees. The counter to that is that there's actually a lot of great alternatives to Ethereum right now, and Cardano is not one of those great alternatives. They don't have a lot of the functionality that Ethereum does. They don't even have smart contracts yet, which has still been in the roadmap. It's supposed to come out sometime this year, but the fact that there's supposed to be an Ethereum alternative, which Ethereum is a smart contract blockchain, and they don't have smart contracts yet, and yet their token is just exploding to new heights right now, it's just kind of silly to me. I mean, in the long run, yeah, maybe their play works. Maybe like printing all these papers and maybe all the peer review stuff they're doing works out and they take ahead, to go ahead in the long run. But for right now, it's just kind of like, it's very odd to see this. It's weird that Cardano is the third largest coin by market cap when you have all these other tokens that are actually doing things. So I'll toss it back to the crowd.
What do they actually do?
I mean, I think if you email
that is
them
the question,
that
right?
you wouldn't necessarily get a response back. It's supposed to be like an Ethereum, but they don't have anything yet that Ethereum does. There's no DeFi. There's no smart contracts. There's no dApps. They just launched with their Merry hard fork yesterday the ability to launch another token on top of their token. So if you want to do something
we need
like
more
that,
of those, right?
That's interest to you, Jen? Nope.
No interest. Okay. I may add something there. I think that a lot of the interest in Cardano is based on Charles Hoskinson. He's a huge name in the space. He was a co-founder of Ethereum. Before that, he's worked with Dan Larimer on a bunch of stuff. So, he's someone who has been involved since early days. Anyone who's been in the space for a long time knows all about him. And so to see this very smart person is working on this thing, let's keep our eyes on it. Now, Will, you bring up a great point that if it's moving really slowly, it begs the question, what's the actual value here? But perhaps people are seeing value in them taking it slowly, in making sure things are done right, making sure things that are checked and there are security checks and there are peer reviews, even though I don't really think that the peer review system works that well anymore. But that's a whole nother topic. But maybe people are seeing the value just in having this big name involved and wondering what that promise is for the coin.
I think it's all extremely perspective at this point, maybe a little too much so. I know ADA was a fascination of Satoshi Street Bets on Reddit for a little bit, the Wall Street Bets spinoff, more dedicated to crypto coins. So it does seem to sort of have a cult appeal. This was famously something that Gene Simmons from KISS loudly proclaimed his investment on. So people are sort of coming to it in a way that I think might be similar to the way that they're coming to a coin like Dogecoin. not to say that some of the tech might take off down the road, but yeah, I'm really eager to see when Cardano actually does deliver on this vision, because it's been a long time coming, and I don't know if necessarily the token price is related to, actual developments. But, I'm cautiously optimistic about this one, and we'll see what comes with it.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll have to do a poll maybe next month or something and see who's bought Cardano in the interim. Maybe you've jumped on board. I'm going to change tracks now. I want to talk about what's going on in Germany and maybe in the larger economic landscape at the moment. So banks in Germany have been telling customers to take their deposits elsewhere. It seems very counterintuitive because usually it's a very cheap way for banks to get hold of funds. But what's happening right now is the ECB has set negative interest rates since 2014. And then, negative interest rates, lots more people have had to pay these since this pandemic has started. Now, before we dive into what this means in terms of crypto and how Bitcoin fits into all of this, I want to give you a really quick TLDR on negative interest rates and what it means, because I'm sure people's heads are exploding right now because it's a very counterintuitive thing. So basically, at the moment in Germany, you have the ECB, they're printing lots of money. So you have these two organizations, the central bank and you have the treasury, right? So the ECB prints lots of money so that they can buy bonds that the treasury creates. And because there's all this demand for the bonds become more valuable. Now, you don't need to incentivize people as much to hold the bonds if it's really popular, so you can afford to charge lower rates. Now, they're buying so many bonds right now that the rates have gone down and down and down until they're negative. So they've had negative interest rates since 2014. Now, the banks since then have said, okay, well, this basically means that we're going to have to start charging people money in order to keep their money at our banks. And so what they've done instead is they've been absorbing those costs through fees and et cetera, but they can't do it anymore. So now they've actually started passing that on to customers, saying, if you want to store your money with us, you have to pay an extra 0.5% a year, which it seems ludicrous to people. Why would people pay to keep their money in these banks? So I want to talk about this in terms of what this means for the crypto space, why this might be leading to a boom in cryptocurrency. Zach, I'm going to throw it straight to you. How does Bitcoin fit into all of this?
Wow, that was a great question. I wish I was taking notes, and I wish you had a whiteboard that we could wheel out, and then you could draw it, and there'd be bonds and numbers and charts and stuff. I think this is a big part of Bitcoiners' fascination with macroeconomics. And I know I'm probably not the best person to talk about this because I'm not as well versed in the macroeconomic stuff as some of the other people on staff. But this is part and parcel of sort of a macroeconomic system where an asset like Bitcoin makes a ton of sense, right? And, if you're also going to be charged for the privilege of storing your money in the bank, maybe you want to store that in some other type of asset. So it might be also stimulating people's appetite for investing in something like Bitcoin. Will, you did economics and stuff in college, and you're super smart. Why are negative interest rates so interesting to the Bitcoin community?
Yeah, it's interesting because interest rates are the future demand for money. That's what that price is. So, 2%, that's how much money it costs in the future. And that you're paying that premium now to get that money from the future. It's kind of like the theoretical idea for it. What this negative interest rate shows is that there's so little demand for money in the future. You're having to incur a cost right now. And it's just interesting to look at the larger European picture. If there's no demand to borrow money, then there's no demand for entrepreneurship. There's little demand for businesses. There's little demand for any sort of economic growth in Europe right now, which is kind of a stagnation within that larger market. And I'm not the person to really dive into that. There's a lot of PhDs that we should get their opinions of. But for Bitcoin itself, I think it just kind of points towards riskier assets becoming more important to the average person. If I can get an 8% interest rate on my Bitcoin holdings through BlockFi or whoever, I'm going to do that. So for the average Bitcoin user, that it just kind of pushes them towards riskier assets, this larger macro picture, which it's kind of scary because if Bitcoin has a dip or something goes wrong with the whole crypto landscape, a lot of people get wiped out just because the macro trend towards those riskier assets. But tossing it back to Naomi.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of return back to the mechanism of what's actually going on here, right? If you have the European Central Bank that's printing a ton of money in order to buy these bonds, then let's just focus on that first bit I said. The European Central Bank is printing a ton of money. Now, we all know that when you have a central organization printing a ton of money, it's inflation, right? Yeah, they're inflating the supply of money. That money becomes less valuable. And so when you have your savings losing in America, it's over 2% a year, right? Then people don't want to keep their money in those assets, right? So if your interest rate is 2% a year, or if inflation is 2% a year, sorry, I didn't mean to say that first bit. If your inflation is 2% a year, people don't want to hold their money in Bitcoin, in US dollars. And so they want to hold it in something that has the potential for an upside. There is zero chance of an upside if you're holding your money in euros right now, if you're holding your money in US dollars, right? So people are gravitating towards cryptocurrency because they see the dire nature of what's going on in the economy, and they don't bet on cash being the best way to keep their savings. So on that note, very pro Bitcoin, pro cryptocurrency, but perhaps a little bit negative on the future of the economy. Let's go and take a break. And coming up next, something a lot more fun. We have a treasure hunt, a Bitcoin treasure hunt taking over San Francisco. So more details on that to come.
Welcome back to The Hash, where we bring you the latest and greatest in crypto and culture. All right, so have you guys been following the artist Crypto Graffiti and his billboards?
No.
No, but I've
No,
heard
I'm going to take
before.
that silence as a no.
Seems like you
I'm
have.
a big fan of Crypto Graffiti. But tell us what's going on, Jen.
All right, so he's wrapping up a 12 billboard exhibit with a $10,000 Bitcoin treasure hunt. So he had 12 billboards in cities all over the U.S. The activation, the exhibit is over now. On the last billboard, he wrote this clue. You can see it happening right now on the screen. And he is asking people on Twitter, people online to kind of figure out the clues to this private key where they can get $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. So if you head on over to his Twitter, he's releasing a lot of cryptic clues, and he expects that someone will win the money this week. So I just thought this is like a super fun story to end the show off with. And I don't know, maybe one of us can win and get a nice payday.
Yeah.
Isn't
It's super
the
fun.
point of
I love
graffiti-
stuff like that.
Isn't this the point of graffiti to be like damaging public property, but he's just doing billboards?
Well, the origins of graffiti, well, it was more PSAs, which I think this might be more akin to if we're going way back to Rome.
I thought crypto was
Way
just
to ruin
like
a good thing.
This thing's so no. You should
So
like
Crypto
defend Morgan
Graffiti
Stanley or
is
something.
a big name
too
in the
normie for
Bitcoin
you?
art scene. He's been around for a really long time. He's raised a ton of money for Venezuela. He's done awesome like Hal Finney tributes that he's sold. Like he's a prominent artist in the crypto community. I think it's really cool what he's doing as a way to bring awareness. Like I loved what that first billboard said when he had the note on there that said the banks got bailouts, the people got Bitcoin. You know, what a better way to introduce people to this, to say, yes, you could get some too, you know, join in the fun, become a part of this. And it's not the only treasure hunt we've seen in the crypto space as well. This is a very common thing. We mentioned on the show the other day that in NFTs, we've got these riddles happening at the moment, people solving clues and things in the Bitcoin Cash community. You've got a guy called Bakersfield Man who's going around putting like stickers all around different towns, and people could like just find them. He posts on his Instagram. People see where it is. They try to find it. They can score like hundreds of dollars in Bitcoin Cash. So there's a lot of really cool things happening in the community to try to excite people about the space and bring them in. And I think this is a pretty cool story.
Well,
Treasure hunts
that's
are
exactly
super
what he
cool.
was doing. Go for it, Zack.
Treasure hunts are super cool. So that's all I wanted to say. There was a thing called Satoshi's. There was a thing called Satoshi's treasure back in 2019 that we covered. That was like similarly like a puzzle, like a real world puzzle, where you put all these cryptographic fragments that you discover around various places in the world, and you can find this treasure. So hey, the fact that it's bringing the joy of a treasure hunt to a political statement in the cities where the Fed has outposts is really interesting and fun, and I hope it captivates people's imaginations, because treasure hunts are cool. That's all I got.
Kind of the antithesis of all the politicians speak, right? They're all like, be careful, this is dangerous, be careful with your money. Meanwhile, you've got like, hey, join our treasure hunt, you could win a bunch of money and it's really fun. Like, it really does bring home how polar opposite these different worlds are, the legacy finance and political bureaucracy, and then this new unbridled money that people are exploring that's really exciting to a lot of people.
One of the points of the exhibit was to have the billboards in lower income areas to really educate people who have lower income in the States and get them on board in a really kind of fun new way. So I think everything we have said about it, except for you, Will, is
just pointing out
what they wanted.
There's some inaccuracies in his naming. That's all I'm saying.
Will,
I support what he's doing.
What was your tag back in the day?
My tag?
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
You have a very particular
Colorado
opinion
gang.
here.
Okay, cut it out, guys. Let's wrap it up. All right, that's the hash for today. We'll be back again tomorrow. Hey, I saw that Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, is going to be on CoinDesk TV tomorrow at 9 a.m. That's a pretty cool get. Good job doing that, guys. That should be interesting to see. Tune in later today. We have All About Bitcoin at 3 p.m. Eastern. Also a nice show. And we'll be back tomorrow just talking about stuff. So, I mean, that's cool. I'm Zack. That's Naomi. We got Ben. We got Jen. We got Will. We're the Hash. We'll do it again tomorrow. And thanks for tuning in. See ya.
See you guys.
Bye.